So what looks like a small, simple piece of paper actually has the potential to save lives. Paper test strips allow people to see if fentanyl has been mixed into street drugs, which could alert them to unseen risks, potentially fatal risks. Now, advocates are calling for them to be made more widely available. Joining us this morning is the lead at Toronto's drug checking service at St. Michael's Hospital, Karen McDonald. Good morning.
Morning.
How do these test strips work, Karen?
So fentanyl test strips are a low-cost and simple drug checking technology that allow people to test their drugs to understand whether or not fentanyl may be present. So these drugs cost about $1 each, and currently the strips are available to test a wide variety of drugs. So in terms of how they use, they're very similar to what folks would be used to using for a COVID rapid test. So essentially you just take a very small amount of your drug, you add it to a small amount of water, you then dip the strip into the solution that you've made out of the drug and water. And then you kind of, wait for the result. So then on your little test strip, one line will present if your drug is positive for fentanyl, 2 lines will present if your drug is negative for fentanyl.
Which is crucial because we know that it's the presence of fentanyl that are leading to these astronomical rates of death. From January to September of last year, more than 5,300 Canadians died from opioid overdoses. If, Karen, someone is already struggling with addiction, would a positive test result for fentanyl be enough to stop them from consuming that supply?
So that's really one of the major limitations of fentanyl test strips. So really, like, those who are at highest risk of overdose are those who are using opioids, and really fentanyl test strips are of least value to people who are using opioids. And this is really for a few reasons. One, for about over 5 years now, fentanyl has really saturated the unregulated opioid supply. And also fentanyl is really the opioid of choice for most folks using opioids at this point. So simply knowing if there is fentanyl in their fentanyl really doesn't add value for folks. And also the simple identification of fentanyl is really just a small piece of the puzzle for those who are using opioids. So what we know is that it's really important for folks to know how much fentanyl is present in their fentanyl if they're going to avoid overdose. And of course, a fentanyl test strip doesn't tell you how much fentanyl is present. And also what we know is that fentanyl is highly contaminated with many other drugs that are contributing to overdose, and this fentanyl test strip would, miss those other drugs. So sadly, a fentanyl test strip absolutely, has its place in drug checking, but unfortunately, it's folks who use opioids who require drug checking most. And fentanyl test strips are of least value to those folks.
So then, Karen, what kind of drug checking technologies are needed for that population?
Yeah, so much more sophisticated drug checking technologies are required for those who are at highest risk of overdose. This is because the drugs that are most likely to contribute to overdose present in very trace amounts. The opioid supply is constantly changing. So yeah, sadly, very sophisticated technologies are required. Here in Toronto, we are actually offering lab-based technology to analyze samples, and we are able to provide, a comprehensive list of all of the many drugs that are present in a sample. We can also quantify how much of some of those drugs are present so that folks can, really use that information to make dosing decisions. So that's really the type of drug checking technology that we need to be striving for if we really want to equip those at highest risk of overdose to, avoid death or other harms.
Great to have further explanation on this technology, Karen. Thank you.
No problem. Thanks.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.